There was a time when cars felt more personal. Features that added character, charm, and sometimes a little chaos filled the cabin and lined the dashboard. But over time, many of those beloved quirks faded away, replaced by screens, sensors, and sleek silence. These are 10 car features that once defined an era and then disappeared. Number 1. In-car record players. In the 1950s and early 60s, vinyl was king. And someone had the bold idea to bring record players goodbye into cars. That's right. Luxury car brands experimented with built-in record players for in-ride entertainment. It sounded cool in theory. Who wouldn't want to cruise to Sinatra on vinyl? But in practice, total nightmare. Even the slightest bump caused the needle to skip. Roads weren't smooth enough, and the hardware just wasn't built for motion. As 8-tracks and cassette players emerged, in-car vinyl quickly spun out. Today, they're rare collector's items, and a symbol of automotive ambition that just couldn't quite spin smoothly. Number 2. Landau bars. If you've ever seen a car with chrome bars on the side of the rear roofline, you've spotted a Landau bar. These were purely decorative, meant to mimic the folding roof mechanism of horse-drawn carriages from the 1800s. No function, no utility, just a design flourish that said, "This car is classy." In the 1970s and 80s, Landau bars were common on personal luxury cars like the Lincoln Continental or Cadillac Fleetwood. They gave an air of old-world elegance, or at least tried to. But tastes changed. What was once stylish became seen as excessive and out of touch. Today, Landau bars are mostly gone, though they occasionally appear on custom hearses or nostalgia builds. Number 3. Bench seats. There was a time when cars weren't about individual comfort. They were about togetherness. Bench seats, wide, uninterrupted slabs of padding, stretched across the front row like a family couch on wheels. In the 1950s and 60s, these were standard in American cars. 3 passengers could sit side by side in the front, and let's not forget, it made getting cozy with your date at the drive-in a whole lot easier. But with advancements in safety, ergonomics, and bucket seat design, bench seats started disappearing in the 80s and 90s. Today, they're mostly found in classic cars and pickup trucks, nostalgic reminders of a simpler, more social time behind the wheel. Number 4. Vent windows. Before air conditioning was standard, drivers had to get creative to cool off. Enter the vent window. These small triangular windows, also called wing windows, sat just ahead of the main side window and could pivot outward, directing a sharp breeze right into the cabin. In the summer heat, vent windows were your best friend, and in rainy weather, they let in air without soaking the interior. But as AI systems improved and aerodynamic design took over, vent windows started to disappear in the 1970s. They live on today as quirky little reminders of a pre-climate control era. And for some vintage car owners, they're still prized for their practicality and charm. Number 5. Ashtrays and cigarette lighters. Once upon a time, every car had an ashtray, often multiple, and a cigarette lighter? Standard. In the 50s through 90s, smoking while driving wasn't just common, it was marketed. Cars came with ashtrays in the dashboard, the rear seats, even in the doors. Lighters popped out with a satisfying click. But as society's view of smoking changed, and health campaigns took center stage, these features faded fast. By the 2000s, most automakers removed them entirely or offered them only as options. Ironically, while the ashtrays disappeared, the cigarette lighter socket survived. It's now your car's main power outlet, keeping phones and GPS devices charged instead of cigarettes lit.
Number 6. Column shifters. Before center consoles and paddle shifters, there was the column-mounted gear shifter, lovingly nicknamed 3 on the tree. Mounted on the steering column, this shifter was especially common in the 1940s to 1970s, making room in the center for bench seating. It was intuitive and easy to reach, especially for stick-shift drivers. But as cars evolved to include more cabin features, cup holders, infotainment systems, center consoles, the column shifter lost its place. Today, you'll still find them in some trucks, but for most modern cars, it's floor-mounted or electronic all the way. Number 7. Trunk-mounted luggage racks. Planning a long road trip? In the 1970s and 80s, you might have strapped your suitcases right to the trunk lid. Chrome luggage racks were a popular add-on, especially on sporty or touring cars. They looked adventurous, even when you were just heading to grandma's. But problems piled up. Security issues, exposure to the elements, and the fact that, well, cars got better. Modern vehicles now offer spacious trunks, roof boxes, and rear-mounted cargo carriers, making trunk racks obsolete. Still, a well-preserved 70s coupe with a vintage luggage rack? That style you can't fake. Number 8. Car phones, the original mobile flex. Before the iPhone, before Bluetooth, there was the car phone, the ultimate symbol of wealth and status in the 1980s and 90s. Hardwired into your dashboard or center console, these phones were clunky, analog, and super expensive. But if you had one, you were living the future. Of course, as handheld cell phones became smaller, cheaper, and more powerful, car phones became pointless. Now, hands-free calling via Bluetooth has replaced all of that, safer, faster, and way more convenient. Still, those old-school phones? Pure 1980s nostalgia?
Number 9. Hood ornaments. The art on the asphalt. Once they were everywhere. Leaping jaguars, flying goddesses, even glass sculptures. Hood ornaments were both brand identity and rolling artwork. Rolls-Royce's Spirit of Ecstasy still stands as an icon. But most automakers have phased ornaments out. Why? Safety. In pedestrian collisions, those ornaments could become deadly projectiles. Some brands switched to retractable designs, while others dropped them altogether in favor of badges flush with the hood. Still, for car collectors, an original hood ornament is a prized piece of automotive history, both elegant and dangerous. Number 10. Pop-up headlights. And finally, perhaps the most visually iconic car feature to disappear, pop-up headlights. From the 60s through the 90s, these lights gave sports cars like the Corvette, Miata, and Lamborghini Countach a futuristic, playful edge. They were sleek, aerodynamic when down, and dramatic when up. But the drawbacks were real. Mechanical parts could jam, they hurt aerodynamics when raised, and stricter pedestrian safety laws eventually doomed them. By the 2000s, pop-up headlights had mostly vanished. Today, they're a symbol of a bolder era in car design, when a headlight didn't just shine, while it made an entrance. So there you have it. 10 car innovations that once ruled the road, but eventually faded into memory. Which of these features do you miss the most? Tell us in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell.